All right. Well, hello, everybody. Melissa Sam, a recovered compulsive overeater, and really glad to be here tonight talking about step 12. I'm going to kind of break down what step 12 is. And we're going to be looking in the AA 12 and 12. I'll hold it up, cover's missing, but this is the text. We're going to be in the AA 12 and 12 tonight. So step 12 says, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And for us, we try to carry this message to compulsive overeaters and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So there are three parts actually to step 12. One is the spiritual awakening. Two is the carrying of the message to other addicts. And three is the practicing of these principles in all our affairs. So it's a three-part step. This is a very rich, I always say this, very rich chapter. This is a very rich chapter and it's long. And so my plan is to do half of it tonight. And then next time I speak, I will do the other half. It's definitely too much to sort of cram in. Think about it. Those three things, spiritual awakening, carrying the message and practicing the principles in all our affairs. Each one could be a topic in and of itself. So page 106 asks this. It asks the big question. What do you mean when you talk about a spiritual awakening? Like we hear that all the time. What is that? And the answer comes on the bottom of the page, and then it continues on to page 107. And it says this: when a man or woman has a spiritual awakening, the most important meaning of it is that he has now become able to do, feel, and believe that which he could not do before on his unaided strength and resources alone. He has been granted a gift which amounts to a new state of consciousness and being. He has been set on a path which tells him he is really going somewhere, that life is not a dead end, not something to be endured or mastered. In a very real sense, he has been transformed. And then it further goes on to say that he finds himself in a possession of a degree of honesty, tolerance, unselfishness, peace of mind, and love of which he had thought himself quite incapable. I mean, wow, that's a lot, right? That's a lot of stuff. So let's look at this. When someone asks, what does it mean to be recovered? This is it. This is the definition. We can do things, we can feel things, and we believe things we've never been able to do, feel, or believe on our own. We feel alive inside. Like that's really what it sounds like. We wake up to ourselves. We have direction. Our lives feel meaningful and filled with purpose. We become honest, tolerant, and I have in parentheses here, not so sensitive and touchy, right? That's tolerance, right? I'm not that sensitive and I'm not that touchy most of the time. We're genuinely concerned with others more than we are about ourselves. And they describe it as a free gift, like free, that we make ourselves ready to receive by practicing the 12 steps. So I've heard before, yeah, it's a free gift, but freedom isn't free. I have to take some actions so that my hands are open and available to receive the gifts, right? I must take those actions. And then the chapter then gives us a quick description of the steps. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to look at the quick description of the steps. Page 107. Step 1 showed us an amazing paradox. We found that we were totally unable to be rid of the alcohol obsession until we first admitted that we were powerless over it. That's basically step 1, right? Got admission of powerlessness. It's like a paradox. The obsession cannot be removed unless you admit that you've got a serious problem. Step 2, we saw that since we could not restore ourselves to sanity, some higher power must be necessary to do so if we're to survive. So step 2 is like, I got nothing else but to believe. I'm going to have to, because I can't restore myself. So I'm going to need something. Step 3, we turned our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And I think that's important because we don't get full knowledge of God at this point. Like, we're just told that in step 2 that the consciousness of our creator will come to you. So you don't have to have a firm, solid understanding of what God is in this point in time, right? Just, you're going to turn your will over to the God, whatever it is that you understand in that moment. And step 4, we commence to search out the things in ourselves which had brought us to physical, moral, and spiritual bankruptcy, right? So we do that inventory. We're going to search out those things. Step 5, inventory taken alone wouldn't be enough. We knew we would have to quit the deadly business of living alone with our conflicts. And I read that and I think that is like my life mission now. That when I've got stuff inside me that I don't like, my knee jerk reaction, my go to is like, hide it, cover it up, don't let them see it. Don't let them know it exists. Don't share it. Don't talk about it. I have a friend that says, I thought I was going to be weller than that. Well, step 5 is like my constant, no, I'm not weller than that. I'm just as bad as I think I am. And living alone with my conflicts is deadly. It will kill me, right? Step 6, many of us balked because we did not wish to have all our defects of character removed because we still loved some of them too much. Yet we knew we had to make a settlement with the fundamental principle of step 6. So we decided that while we still had some flaws of character we could not yet relinquish, we ought nevertheless to quit our stubborn, rebellious hanging on to them. We said to ourselves, this I cannot do today, perhaps, but I can stop crying out, no, never, right? So I find that kind of promising because it tells me that when I take step 6, I'm going to start really coming face to face with the things that I want God to remove. Sometimes I don't really want them removed in the moment. But I at least have the humility to say, okay, I might not be ready right this moment, but I know someday I will be. And my work is going to be on working towards that, right? And step 7, we humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings as he could or would under the conditions, right? Step 8, we continued our house cleaning. We were in conflict, not just with ourselves, but with people and in the world. We had to begin to make our peace. And so we listed the people we had harmed and became willing to set things right. And I love that it's done slow enough. Step 8 is not, I run out and I tell everybody I'm sorry and I try to clean it up lickety split. It's, I'm going to make a list first. I'm going to make that list. First, I'm going to list it. And then I'm going to become willing to set things right. And then step 9, that's where we make the direct amends to those concerned. That's when we take that action. List in hand, having worked with our sponsors, having asked God for direction, we go out and try to make our best, right? And step 10, we began to get a basis for daily living and then realized that we were going to have to continue to take inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. So it's step 10 is a daily, every day. I'm looking at my stuff. I'm taking my inventory. When something is wrong, I admit it right away, you know? And there's such freedom in that. No longer do I have to hide from my imperfections, my mistakes, and my flaws. I can admit it. Step 11, we saw that if a higher power had restored us to sanity and had enabled us to live with some peace of mind in a sorely troubled world, then such a higher power was worth knowing better by as direct contact as possible. And that was the topic that we spoke about last time that I went into step 11, just the beautiful, beautiful work of step 11, and that the persistent use of meditation and prayer, not occasional, persistent, intensive, right? Intentional, that we found it did open the channel. And where there had been a trickle, there now was a river. And again, I have in parentheses, notice the word persistent, right? There's always work to be done. And here it's a perfect explanation of step 12 on page 109. From great numbers of such experiences, we could predict that the doubter who still claimed that he hadn't got the spiritual angle and who still considered his well-loved AA group the higher power would presently love God and call him by name. So this is something that I've experienced myself and I've witnessed it happening for others. At some point, we stop over explaining the details of our conception of God. Like, we stop explaining, well, it's not really the God that I grew up with, and it's not the God that it's the God. It's like, we stop doing that. We stop using placeholders and substitutes, and we just call this source of power God. For me, it's easier. I don't have to explain to you what my specific conception is in an attempt or in an effort to, make it, well, it's not really what you believe. And it doesn't matter. I stop explaining it. It's God, right? And that, we come to love God and we long to live in ways in which we can please God and feel closer to him. And that's really, I felt it happen for myself, and I've seen it happen for others. And okay, so that's the first part of step 12, right? That's the spiritual awakening in like 12, simple steps, right? Now let's move on and look at the next part. Carrying the message to other compulsive eaters and alcoholics, right? Page 109 says this: even the newest of newcomers finds undreamed rewards as he tries to help his brother alcoholic or his brother, sister, compulsive eater. So we start getting well. Here's what happens. We start getting well and we begin to care deeply about those around us that are still suffering from this disease. So even before progressing through the steps ourselves, we begin to get the benefits of step 12 work. And if you're new in this program, you can do it through outreach calls and texts. But I'll tell you what always happens when I work with someone, always. At some point, usually after they've taken their 5th step, usually, sometimes it's when they're in their 8th step, they will start, I will always hear this, I know this person I work with, man, she could use this program. Or I have a relative. It's like all of a sudden we start seeing the people around us in the world who might suffer from what we have. And we're like, oh yeah, I want to help them. I want to bring what I'm getting to them. it's really one of those truly organic things. It's like you find the most self-centered, selfish people come in like only concerned, you got to help me, you got to help me, you got to help me. And then this thing happens where they want to start helping other people, right? So page 110 describes ways that we can carry the message. One, listen at meetings, not just to receive, but to offer reassurance and support. And I think this is why it's so important. I always say to people, have your camera on at a Zoom meeting so that your presence is felt and seen. And I know when we share, when I share and I see smiling faces and nodding heads, we're being supported. Even when, like, we're at a meeting and people have like 3 minutes to share, or they're in the after meeting and they've got a question to ask or a concern that they have, and they look at and they see faces of people, a heck of a lot more supportive than just, you know, names or numbers on a screen. And I think about it like this: at my face to face meeting, nobody is trying to help one another from the hallway with the door closed, calling through the door, yelling through the door. No, we're here. We see one another as much as we can. Of course, if you're in a position where you cannot, by all means, you are welcomed just the same. There are times when I'm in a meeting and I'm not able to be on camera for whatever reason. So we're just glad you're here. Um, you know, Number two, we speak when it's our turn. And I encourage people, please share when you're at a meeting. Don't look at it like the recovery show and you're just sitting there watching the recovery show. Be in the show with the players. Um, if you're in a meeting where you're given an opportunity to share, you know, um, and that your shares, even if you're shy or self-conscious, if you speak honestly and with the intention of being useful, then we can be sure that God will give us the right words. We should be hopeful and positive in our words. The meeting is not where we just, it's not where you just come in and you kind of vomit all over the group, but we try to come with some solutions. We try to come with something constructive to help one another, and come with your questions. There's nothing wrong with questions. The text tells us that if they can't share, then they can still be able to carry the message. So, number three, we can be the ones to take on the unspectacular but important tasks that make good 12-step work possible. Perhaps, in the face-to-face meetings, it was arranging for the coffee after the meetings, where so many skeptical, suspicious newcomers have found confidence and comfort in the laughter and talk. And, this is 12-step work in the very best sense of the word. And, for me, what can we do here in the virtual world? Well, you can always post reassuring things in the chat box. There are those who, on a meeting, always make a point to welcome the newcomers. Take down the numbers of newcomers. Offer fellowship, offer friendship. Make yourself approachable is 12-step work. Page 111 highlights some difficulties and growing pains we encounter in 12-step work. One, we may set our hearts on getting a particular person sobered up, and after doing all we can for months, we see him relapse. Perhaps this will happen in succession of cases, and we may be deeply discouraged as to our ability to carry the message. And I think everyone who's ever sponsored has had this difficulty. It's heartbreaking when we grow to love a sponsee and they relapse, and some of them even walk away from the program. That's painful. But let me tell you, I'm going to talk about the ones who return. And I think if we do our work with kindness and compassion and clarity, somebody who might not be ready, they might leave. But I always say, like, leave the door, leave the mat out, leave the welcome mat out, leave the porch light on. because I've known many people. I've had many a sponsee who have left and returned. And I think you want to be the kind of sponsor or the kind of fellow that makes it easy for people to return. Nobody should have to come and eat crow for coming back, right? Nobody comes back victorious. I've never seen it happen. Nobody comes back to tell you that they found the solution and they're just here to say hi. Everybody comes back really needing help. And so it's important that we allow people to reemerge, like with welcome home, right? Number two, we may encounter the reverse situation in which we are highly elated because we seem to have been successful. Here, the temptation is to become rather possessive of the newcomers, right? We start thinking that we can counsel them in all areas of their lives. We're going to tell them what to do about everything. We are not the boss of anybody. I want to say, like, I'm dealing with adults here. I might teach second graders, but nobody here is a second grader. You're all grown ups, right? With your own unique perspective, your own view. And so sponsees are not our children. We don't treat people like our children. They're adults who, like us, have experiences and perspectives. We can make suggestions, but we should consistently remind them to go to God for the answers, right? The job of the sponsor is to put the sponsee's hand in the hand of God, right? And sometimes we get asked to give advice, and while it's flattering, it is not good for either parties. I have to be really careful. I love telling people what to do. Who doesn't, right? But it's not a good practice to give lots of advice on things. Number three, we might carry the message to so many that we're placed in a position of trust and we're presented with the temptation to overmanage things. And sometimes this causes rebuffs and other consequences which are hard to take. Ouch. Yeah, hello. I totally get that. And this is where the traditions can help us, as well as having recovery partners. I'm so grateful because I have a recovery partner who will ask me, what would your sponsor say about that? And I'm like, oh, crap. I even told my sponsor that today. I said, my friend said to me, what would your sponsor say? And I told my sponsor, I said, I don't want to hear what my sponsor would say. And I laughed when I said that. Obviously I do. But yeah. So we need other people to help us see the truth about ourselves, to not overly manage just because we've had success, right? Just because we've been successful in our recovery, just because we're sort of in a position, and it happens with lots of us who give lots of service, who get asked lots of questions. Still have to keep it in check, girl. Keep it in check. Am I trying to be useful and helpful, or am I trying to be the boss, right? And I have resigned from being the general manager of the universe, and that includes in other people's lives as well, right? So these difficulties are described as only the pains of growing up, and nothing but good can come from them if we turn more and more to the entire 12 steps for the answer. So the 12 steps teach me how to practice step 12. I think that's great. Like, I heard someone say, like, step 12 is the real work. Everything else before that was just preparation for the real work. So, one, what does it teach me? Like, what do the 12 steps teach me about step 12? Well, number one, I'm powerless over others' recovery. If I'm powerless over mine, I'm certainly powerless over yours. Two, believing that God is the only one who can restore anyone we work with. We're not in the business of restoring another person's to sanity. That's God's job. And number three, we put these fellows in God's hands. Just like we turned our will and our lives over to the care of our higher power, well, these people are in God's hands as well. The next 14 pages are all about the third part of step 12. Practicing these principles in all our affairs. Okay, it's a lot, right? Page 111 says this. Now comes the biggest question yet. What about the practice of these principles in all our affairs? And okay, so what are these affairs, right? Well, one, family. Can we bring the same spirit of love and tolerance into our sometimes deranged family lives that we bring into our AA group? Can we have the same kind of confidence and faith in these people who have been infected and sometimes crippled by our illness that we have in our sponsors? Like, wait a second. I'm supposed to, like, my sponsor, I'm supposed to think about my family members and have as much confidence in them as my sponsor. Yeah. And I've often found it's easier to cut fellows some slack than it is to do the same for my own family. You know, I listen in the morning to Acceptance is the Answer. And one of the things that I listen to it on a recording. And one of the things it says is that I should have learned to love my family first and the newcomer to AA last, but it was the other way around. And so sometimes it's easier to cut a sponsee some slack than it is to cut your family members some slack. And we're cautioned. Like, for our families, we are told have love, tolerance, confidence, and faith. Wow. For our families, right? Number two, job. I want to say something about the family though. Like, one of the things that I was taught was you practice the 12 steps in the rooms and you live it in your life, right? You learn it in the rooms and then you take what you learned there and you live it in your life, right? Number two, jobs. Can we actually carry the AA spirit into our daily work? Meaning constantly thinking of others. Like at my job, am I constantly thinking of others or am I constantly thinking of me? And one of the things that I've had to learn in my job is if I'm constantly thinking of others, it's one thing in the classroom with the students. That seems to be most of the time easier because they're kids, right? But that also means my colleagues. That also means like I got to think about them, how they're feeling, what they're thinking. I have to think like if my boss is coming down on us or doesn't seem as nice and as friendly as I like her to be, I have to cut her some slack. I have to constantly think of her. I have to think from her position. Is she coming down because people are coming down on her? Is it like it's trickling down? Um, Number three, the world at large. Can we meet our newly recognized responsibilities to the world at large? So, what are our new responsibilities? Well, to live in agreement with God's will and to demonstrate that we have been restored to happy and productive lives. We can contribute and not just take. That's what we're supposed to bring to the world at large. 4, the religion that we choose. Yeah, that we're actually, these are the affairs that they're talking about: our family, our job, the world at large, and whatever religious practices that we choose. So, can we bring new purpose and devotion to the religion of our choice? And, many times I've come into contact with people who came in having a prejudice against the religion that they were brought up with, a like a bristliness about it. They'll say, well, I was brought up this, and they have like an attitude about it. And one of the things that I try to say is like, try not to have any harsh judgments against that religion. You might just find yourself returning there later. And that I have witnessed that happen for lots of people. And we're told, can you go there now with new purpose and devotion, right? With a new attitude about it. We know that life is made up of times where we experience failure as well as success. Can we experience failure without despair? That's the next part. Can we have achievement without growing prideful? So those are like the two things, right? So can you have failure without like feeling so defeated? And can you have success without feeling like you're God, right? So one is like failure, questioning God's existence. And two, success, thinking that you're actually God. We have to be careful of both those things. Page 112 says this, explains how it is we can fall short. Well, our troubles first begin with indifference. We're sober and happy in our work. Things go well at home in the office. We naturally congratulate ourselves on what later proves to be far too easy and superficial point of view. We temporarily cease to grow because we feel satisfied that there's no need for all of the steps for us. We were doing fine on just a few of them. In a slang, that, state is just doing the first step and 12 step. They call it two-stepping, right? Oh, I put down the food, everything's great. And now I'm like going to help lots of people and not really practicing all that middle stuff. And they say it can go on for years like that. So what happens is we feel that life is dull and we're disappointed by our regular small lives. And this is really dangerous. I would say that if you're wondering if you're headed in that direction where you're just sort of coasting, not really doing anything, ask yourself if you're being consistent in your nightly review. Are you digging deep? Is there never a resentment? Is there never a fear? Is there never a harm? Are you never selfish? It's like, you might want to look a little deeper. Are you looking to grow spiritually? Are you just doing the bare minimum? Is it like check, check? Are you doing recovery like a checklist? And the great danger is that our disease, we can't do a checklist. We can't stay like this because here's the truth. Our disease is progressive. And coasting will not outrun the avalanche that's going to eventually come. Because eventually we all get a big catastrophe. It's part of the human experience. Page 113 says, what then? Have we alcoholics or can we get the resources to meet these calamities which come to so many? Can we transform these calamities into assets, sources of growth and comfort to ourselves and those about us? Well, we surely have a chance if we switch from two-stepping to 12-stepping, right? So if you're thinking that you might be coasting, you might be. And I've got to find another outlet because I'm going to run out of power here. I'm losing my juice. So I'm going to bring you guys, we're going to go to another room and I'm going to plug in because I'm getting a low battery thing. We really are getting tested for for what it's going to be. So I'm going to move you guys to another room and I'm going to talk as I'm doing it. So, have we, page 114 says our basic troubles are the same as everyone else is, but when an honest effort is made to practice these principles in all our affairs, well-grounded, sorry, now we're really in the dark. Well-grounded, let's see where I am. AA seem to have the ability by God's grace to take these troubles in stride and turn them into demonstrations of faith. And I've experienced life's difficulties. This is like hilarious. This isn't one of them, by the way. This is kind of like, this is a great problem to have. But I've had life difficulties, issues with my kids. my mom, my mom passed when my mom was sick, my job. I've had like, I've had bosses that weren't really nice to me. And I think like, my gosh, just the pandemic, right? We've experienced a pandemic. And I would say, that those difficulties were all things where my recovery didn't just survive, but in fact, it actually thrived. The principles we learn in this program allows us to somehow go through these times with optimism, serenity, faith, and purpose. And it really makes me think, about one of the promises of a spiritual awakening found in the Big Book in the chapter Working with Others on page 100. It says, if you follow the dictates of I'm just going to move you guys, of a higher power, yay, okay. If we follow the dictates of a higher power, we can presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances. So we don't quite live with the same responses to hard circumstances like we used to. I can somehow feel sad about a circumstance, but not be overwhelmed in despair. I can take hard times, and what I found is that I used to think that if it wasn't easy and everything wasn't like going my way, I couldn't be happy. Like, how could I possibly be happy when things aren't going well, and I can't take it if things aren't going well? But I actually found that I can be happy. Like, I might be sad, the circumstances might make me sad, but my who I am inside doesn't seem to get permeated. It doesn't get penetrated by that, because what I've actually found out is, if I practice these principles, if I live in agreement with what I believe God's directions are for me, I actually feel okay. I actually feel supported, even in the midst of difficulty, Um, and so I don't get enveloped in despair like I used to. You know, we can take our big lumps as they come, but here it says more difficult and sometimes the lesser the problems, the pebbles in our shoes kind of problems. And we often discover a greater challenge in the lesser and more continuous problems of life. And our answer is in still more spiritual development. So I'm laughing, right? Like, even just this little scenario of like, blew a fuse in the house. The fact that I did not lose my mind on my husband, because he was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going to bed. It's cold. He's like, it's just time for bed. He like, what do you mean you're not going to do it for me now? Like, don't you understand? I'm on a Zoom. Like, no, I don't. I actually kind of thought it was funny. He wasn't wrong. Like, it's cold. He's going to bed. Then I'm like upstairs. I'm like in the dark. My power's going out. I have to go downstairs. I don't even know what my kitchen. It's probably a mess in this kitchen, but you're seeing what you're seeing. This stuff like used to rattle my world. The littlest thing, something would happen at work, and I would like, I used to live at one time where it's like I'd say like the dog would have an accident, and I would have to eat over it. Like, smallest little thing. I had no tolerance for everything not going exactly my way. That's not my experience anymore. And I think, why is that? How come? Because it's the practicing these principles in all our affairs. So there's a lot more to the chapter, but there's 10 minutes left, and I think hopefully hopefully I would hope maybe someone would have a couple of questions besides like, my light's going out. What are you going to do about that? So with that, I will stop the recording.